Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to talk to you about the most important part of a decision. The most important part of a decision. Now, the reason I'm shooting this video is because I have been faced with a really important decision for my business over the last about 3 or 4 days, and trying to figure out if I wanted to take on a new responsibility or not, okay? And so I won't give you too much more detail than that, but in making this decision, one of the things that just was really stuck out to me is, I don't think I've made enough content lately just talking about the importance of making good decisions and the most important part of making a decision. So the reason that most people make, and I'm not really talking about bad decision or good decision, it's just that people make a lot of decisions that are meaningless because nothing ever comes of them. Okay, and I did the same thing. I mean, especially in my early 20s and mid 20s, I was always making decisions. Oh, I'm going to go do that. Oh, that's going to be so cool. I'm going to do this and make all this money and everything. And then nothing would ever happen, And I was talking to my wife, Christina, about it last night. She was making something. She's a teacher, and so she was making something for her class tomorrow. And I'm sitting there writing out this decision and thinking through it and talking to her about it, And we were just talking about how funny it is, how differently I make decisions now than what I used to. A decision was literally like 30 seconds of like, oh, that would be a good idea. Well, that means I'm going to do it. Yay! I just made a great decision. No. Now the same decision took me literally 4 days of I could not get it out of my head, thinking about it nonstop. And I want to talk about the most important part of making a decision. The most important part of making a decision is not deciding what you're going to do, it's deciding what you're going to stop doing. Okay? So it does you absolutely no good to come up with a great idea and you're like, you know what, I have this idea. I'm going to spend an extra hour with my kids every day. That would make me a better dad. What a good idea. I just made a great decision. You didn't make a decision at all. The important decision is, what are you not going to do for an hour a day so that you can spend an extra hour with your kids? Because if you don't make that part of the decision, then you never made the first part. And so you have to stop doing something if you want to start doing something, okay? So as I was making this decision, this is for me, and some of you don't manage your time the way that I do, and that's not putting you down at all or anything, you're just maybe not at that point in your career yet. And so this may sound like nothing to you, but I'm deciding if I want to spend 3 hours a day doing this particular thing for my company. Now for me, 3 hours a day is like an eternity. It's like just tons and tons and tons of time. And so the amount of things that I had to decide I wanted to carve out of my life in order to do that are ridiculous. I'll give you a couple of examples of some of the things I am not going to be doing. So an employee I'm about to hire to help me with this particular project, part of this employee's job is going to be to drive and get me lunch every day. Now you might think, what? Well, I figured out that last week on average I spent 45 minutes driving to go get lunch and then either eating lunch there or bringing it back. Well, there's 45 minutes a day. That's part of it. And there's just all these little things like that I had to go oh man, I really like doing this one thing, but I can't anymore. I got to cut this out. Something else I found that I was spending about an hour a day on, an hour and a half a day on, that is actually really important to me and I'm really excited about it and I'm going to give it up. And so I have to have a talk with one of my employees today about how I'm not doing this one thing anymore. So if you want to make a decision, the most important part of the decision is not deciding to do something. That's the easy part. Anybody can come up with a good idea. Anybody can come up with oh, this would be a good thing to do. The important thing is, what are you not going to do so that you can free up the time to do the thing that you actually want to do? The other part of a decision that is just as important is, how are you going to track your progress and how are you going to have accountability? And so at the end of my conversation with my wife last night, as we were talking about all this stuff, we got to the end, and this will probably seem really funny to some of you that are either new to entrepreneurship or you're thinking about, oh, I want to be my own boss. So at the end of it, Christina's like, all right, so what do you think? Are you going to do it? And I'm like, I'm still not convinced. I figured out how to get the 3 hours a day, but the only thing is I don't know who's going to manage me. And we're talking about that for a while, and it's what do you mean manage? I'm the CEO of the company. I have my own business. I can do whatever I want, right? Yeah, that's the problem. So I said, man, I really need a manager for this. How am I going to get the right level of accountability to force myself to make sure I do what I'm supposed to do with this 3 hours a day for 90 days? That's a lot of time. And that whole conversation between my wife and I think would be surreal for many of you that are just getting into entrepreneurship. You don't really want to be your own boss. You just don't want to have a boss. And that's totally different. If you don't want to have a boss, you're going to fail, 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 fail. Like, you're going to fail. For sure, guaranteed, you're going to fail. If you want to be your own boss, that's a little different. So that means you have a schedule, that means you have goals, that means you're tracking things, that means you are setting yourself up with accountability and structure and all that. Well, that's a little different. Then maybe you can be successful in business, but you've got to have the structure and accountability. So, I'm breaking it all down, and I know who I'm going to have track the metrics, and then I'm going to share it with all my employees. So I'm going to have group accountability of like, here's what I did today on this project. But I'm like, I don't know if that's even enough because my employees work for me. So if I decide I don't want to do this for a couple days, then I won't. And I don't care. Like, they're my employees. They work for me. And I'm like, man, I just don't know if that's enough. And so I'm still trying to figure that piece of it out and have a couple people in mind that I really respect that or outside of our company that I might share my report with every day too, CEO of another company that's going to be positively impacted by this, and I might have a conversation there and find that accountability on that side to say, hey, can I at least share my weekly report with you and have a quick 15-minute call so that I know that that call is coming, and then I'm going to be embarrassed if I don't hit the goals that I laid out. Like, you've got to have that. And so making a decision, the most important part of making a decision is not, oh, I made a decision to do this thing. It's what are you going to stop doing, and where is the accountability going to come from to make sure that you actually keep your commitment. My name is James Shepard. Hopefully that was a help to you today. Thanks for watching and listening.